And we are live, Hoptown Hoppers TV. This is Ethan Alexander, and we are here in Paducah, Kentucky for the Hoptown Hoppers taking on the Paducah Chiefs at Brooks Stadium here in Paducah. And I want to get today's broadcast started by giving you the starting lineup for your Hoptown Hoppers. At catcher tonight and batting in the top of the order is Reed Douglas. Then you have Sam Perkins at second base, Luis Vergara at left field, Dom Oliverio in center field, Tate Van Hooser at first base, Robert Estrada in right field, Carter Hood at third base. Chase Cummings is your designated hitter tonight. And then Paducah's own John Keebler is at shortstop. Your pitcher tonight for Hoptown is number 36, Caden Wilburn. I want to quickly apologize for not having the stream up and going last night. The Hoppers did defeat the Muhlenberg Stallions 10-3 in a pretty easy game in Muhlenberg, and the stream just wasn't cooperating. From the very beginning, it wouldn't come up for us, but luckily tonight, no issues, and we are up and running. And so hopefully we don't run into anything during this stream, knock on wood, but we're about to get started here. I'll give you, I normally don't, but because I have a little extra time, I'll run through the lineup for the opposing team today, the Chiefs. Starting off for them will be Will Gibbs at second base and Gunnar Bingham in left field. Colby Morse is your shortstop for Paducah. Bryden Fraceman is in right field. Creighton Morse at first base. Christian Beal is the designated hitter for Paducah. Ben Brombaugh. Ben Brombaugh is at center field. Sammy Kostronic at third base, and Austin Kreider at catcher. Pitching, who you now see warming up on the mound for Paducah, is Jacob Overbeck. So a lot of names we've seen in the 2 games that the Hoppers have played Paducah this year. And I'm trying to see if there's any names I don't recognize. I know Christian Beal has played in all of them, but I don't think he has been a designated hitter, which is why that kind of tripped me up. And then Sammy Kostronic is normally the shortstop for this Chiefs team, playing third base tonight. But up to bat first for the Hoppers is Reed Douglas, and he's about to get the day started. Only about 10 minutes after when this game was supposed to get started. He's going to start things off with a ball thrown from Overbeck. And another one. 2-0 count to Reed Douglas. And Reed will hit that one directly to the shortstop, who makes the low grab and the out for Douglas. Had pretty good contact on that one, but it flies straight to the shortstop. And that will bring up Sam Perkins now, the 2-hole hitter, and I believe the highest on-base percentage on the team for Hoptown. And he'll watch that one go by high for a ball. I'll say this, not a great angle for me personally tonight to let you know if I think pitches are balls or strikes, as that one is called a strike. So unless it's really egregious, I'll probably abstain from giving you my personal opinion on those, as that is a great hit there from Perkins for the single directly in between the left fielder and shortstop. Perfectly struck there from Perkins to get the first hit of the day and be the first runner on base for Hoptown. And that'll bring up Luis Vergara, the left fielder, who has been hitting well as of late as well. They're going to check up on Perkins at first base. And so this first camera angle I have here does not have a great look on first base. Don't have a ton of space up here to move my cameras around, but this angle has pretty much the whole field on it, and I think it's one of the better wide angles we have. That's a ball thrown to Vergara. 1-0 count to Luis here. And that's another outside ball thrown, so another 2-0 count. Reed Douglas saw a 2-0 count earlier, just 2 batters ago. He hit it to the shortstop. And that pitch is high, actually flies over Vergara's head, so a 3-0 count, 3 straight balls now to Luis. That is a high pitch. Looked good as far as positioning over the plate, but just a tad bit high. So Luis will walk and push Perkins to second base and bring up Dom Oliverio, who had a big home run in yesterday's game, a 3-run home run in the win over Muhlenberg. And once again, apologize for that stream not being up so that you folks weren't able to see that home run. But, honestly, with the camera angles out there in Muhlenberg, I'm not sure if you would have been able to see it anyway. But Oliverio coming off of a big night yesterday and has 2 runners on, only 1 out on the board now at the plate. And he'll watch that one go by for a strike. 0-1 count to Dom. I will mention the Chiefs already have a pitcher warming up in the bullpen. May have expected Overbeck not to go very long in this one. And a swing and a miss on the inside pitch there from Oliverio. Actually, I think he got some contact right off the bat, but went into the glove of the catcher. So 0-2 count now to Oliverio. And that's an outside low pitch for a ball. So 1-2 count now to Dom. Tate Van Hooser on deck here, the 5-hole hitter. And there's another outside pitch to even things up at 2 apiece. Again, runners on second and first. Sam Perkins on second base. Very good base runner. Looks like we have a balloon lost as well that you may actually be able to see in the wide angle here in a second as it's floating over the field. And Oliverio will pop that one up. And, oh no. Oh, no. Look at that. The first baseman actually grabbed that ball against his chest, and the ball went into his jersey. The unbuttoned jersey of the second baseman, the ball actually went inside of his jersey, and he was unable to get it out. He was actually looking to make a double play there. Instead, he's not going to get anybody, as that is an interesting error. I've never seen that happen before. Traps the ball against his chest, and it goes into his jersey. Wow. And so Tate Van Hooser now with loaded bases, as that is just unlucky for the Chiefs, will immediately foul one off for an 0-1 count. And another foul there. They're throwing some high pitches to Van Hooser, and he's swinging. Both of those were a little high, but he gets the bat on each of them, just going behind him into the netting. So an 0-2 count to Tate with loaded bases, only 1 out on the board. And he'll hit that one. Another one hit directly. No! Hit directly to the shortstop, and he makes the throw to second base and gets out Vergara, who was leading off. And that's a double play. So I guess the double play was meant to happen, as the previous play may have been a double play. That one, so out of those 3 outs, 2 of them laced directly at the shortstop. And we will move to the bottom of the first inning, where the Chiefs will get a chance to strike first on the scoreboard, which now sits at Hopper 0, Chiefs 0. We will be right back with Hoptown Hoppers TV. We are back here in the bottom of the first inning as Caden Wilburn about to get his day started on the mound. Wilburn out of University of Indianapolis, along with multiple teammates. Didn't have the greatest outing in his last starting performance. Hoping to have a good one today and lead these Hoppers from the mound. First up for the Chiefs is Will Gibbs, and that'll be a ball to get things started here in the bottom of the first. That pitch is just inside for a ball. Wilburn, the lefty pitcher. If I remember correctly, this Paducah lineup features mostly right-handed hitters. And that's another inside pitch, so 3 inside pitches, 1 low for a 3-0 count right away. That pitch is a strike, but out of Douglas's glove. Reed Douglas making his return to the team today. Was not with them in the trip to Muhlenberg yesterday. Had other obligations, so Reed today coming back with the Hoppers and playing catcher behind the plate. 3-1 count now to Gibbs, the second baseman for the Chiefs. And that's another inside pitch for a walk. So all 4 balls thrown there to Gibbs from Wilburn were on the inside. Maybe just sneak that a little bit to the right, and he's got some in the strike zone. That'll bring up Gunnar Bingham. Bingham has the top hit average, batting average, and on-base percentage for this lineup tonight. I'm not sure if it's the best on the team for Paducah, but I know it's the best in the lineup. Bingham, I believe, also had 2 walk-off hits in the last few games for the Chiefs, if I remember correctly. And Wilburn throws a high pitch there for a ball. That's a strike, just a little lower, same spot over the plate for a 1-1 count to Bingham. That pitch is outside for a ball, 2-1 the count now. That pitch is a pretty off-speed one from Wilburn to even things up at 2 apiece. Actually coming back into the strike zone. Bingham backed up, thought that one was coming towards him. And an outside pitch there to make it a full count, 3-2. All of the balls minus that one high one a moment ago thrown from Wilburn have been on that same left side, either outside against lefties, inside against righties, but pretty much all in the same area. And Bingham will hit that one towards left field. It's well hit. It's going to get over Vergara and make its way to the fence, and that is likely going to score a runner. And the runner's going. He is going to make it home, and Bingham has a big triple to get his day started for the Chiefs and continue his stellar streak this season. And that'll score the first run of the day for either team, but the first on the board for Paducah with the big triple from Bingham. And I'll tell you what, that coming off the bat didn't look like it was going to go as far as it did, but you could tell by how the crowd reacted that they were expecting that one to go deep, and it did. Made it over Luis Vergara and left field head all the way back to the fence. And that is a big shot from Gunnar Bingham. And it brings up Colby Morse, the shortstop, with a runner on third base and no outs on the board. And a ball thrown high there from Wilburn. That pitch is low and outside for a ball. 2-0 the count to Morse. That is looked good from here, maybe a little bit outside top right corner for a ball. 3-0 the count now. And that is a good pitch. That off speed that he threw earlier and got a strike. Throws it again there for 1-3 and 1 now the count to Morse. Morse is the shortstop that the Hoppers hit 2 balls at in the top of this inning. Throws an outside low pitch there and walks another. That time, maybe a little bit overcorrecting from Wilburn as he throws most of those balls to the opposite side of where he's been throwing them. Just needs to find the sweet spot. And that'll bring up Bryden Freisman, the right fielder, who in Hoptown, when the Chiefs took on the Hoppers at Hoptown, had an excellent throw to home that pretty much won the game for Paducah. I remember that clearly. Hits that one to left field, and that's going to make its way over Vergara's head. It was playing deep. Freisman's going to score 2 there and have a double, and he does. That's a huge double there from Freisman, who hits that just about as far as Bingham did, but Vergara was playing slightly deeper, still couldn't get it. And that'll put a runner on second and score 2 more for the Chiefs after 2 big shots to left field. Here's Creighton Morse, the first baseman for the Chiefs. Still no outs on the board, and they already have 3 runs scored here. And a runner on second base. That's Freisman, who just hit that huge double. That's a high pitch from Wilburn for a ball. And that's hit directly towards the shortstop, Keebler, who will make the throw to first, and it's well picked up by Tate Van Hooser. Does a good job to gather that ball on the bounce, but Freisman will advance to third base, and that's only the first out on the board, but better than nothing. The Hoppers able to pick up an out. Freisman advances to third, and that'll bring up Christian Beal, the designated hitter, who I believe goes by Javier, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I remember him playing in the game at Hoptown. But I'm going to go by Christian. That is what it says on the roster. And that pitch is just low for a ball. That pitch is low and outside for a ball. So 2-0 the count to Beal. And a fouled off pitch there goes way beyond the stands towards the batting cages, and that'll be a 2-1 count now to Beal. Runner on third, 1 out on the board. 2-1 count. Lefty versus lefty action here. Last time we saw that, we ended up with a triple. That's a pretty pitch from Wilburn to even things up at 2 apiece. And a foul there. Going low, but Beal fighting here to stay alive. And the 2-2 count remains the same. lot of fans here tonight for the Chiefs, considerably more than the last time we played here, maybe just because it's a Thursday night and we're approaching the weekend. Also pretty good weather, not too hot, not too cold. And another foul there from Beal. 2-2, the count remains the same. But yeah, I mean, they have a lot of seating out here in Paducah. And you can kind of see it in this wide view, but it doesn't do it justice. I'd say they have a few hundred folks out here tonight. So a 2-2 count here to Christian Beal. A runner on third, that's Bryden Fraceman, who had a big double that scored 2. And 1 out on the board. And there's a swing and a miss, and the strikeout from Wilburn to Beal. And his first strikeout of the day picks up the second out in the inning and allows the Hoppers to possibly get out of this inning without bringing that runner from third home. And now we see Ben Brombaugh, who's the center fielder for Paducah, who's played in all the games this season for or against these two teams. 2 outs on the board and a runner at third for Brombaugh. And that one just misses inside for a ball. And that is hit towards right field. It's going to be down, and the runner from third will score easily as he was well on his way before that ball was even hit. And that is a single RBI from Brombaugh, the center fielder. And the score just like that already in the bottom of the first here is 4-0 in favor of the Chiefs. 2 outs on the board, and we have Sammy Kostronic, the third baseman, up to bat. He'll immediately foul that one off into the Hoppers bullpen. 0-1 count to Kostronic. Kostronic has been a decent hitter in the games against Hoptown. Has played in both games, I believe, at shortstop in both of those. He'll watch that one go by for a strike. So the first 0-2 count that Wilburn has seen today. So he gets ahead here, 0-2. Runner on first, who actually didn't mark on our scoreboard, and that's a strikeout from Wilburn to sit down Kostronic and send the game to the second inning, but not before the Chiefs are able to score 4 runs, and that came off a big triple, double, and single. Did all the damage there, and Wilburn able to get 2 strikeouts for 2 of the 3 outs there, but not quite enough to keep the Chiefs from getting a big lead early in this game. We will move to the top of the second inning and be back just in a moment. Robert Estrada will lead things off, and we will see the 6, 7, and 8 hitters for the Hoppers. We will be right back with more Hoptown Hopper baseball in Paducah with Hoptown Hoppers TV. We are back here in the top of the second inning as did not get a ton of time there to take a break. I'm sorry I didn't quite see that Estrada's already in the box and has already seen 2 strikes go by. So a 1-2 count after that low pitch to Estrada. And another low one that time gets a little wild to even things up at 2 apiece. Estrada had a good day yesterday in Muhlenberg as well. I know for a fact he had at least 2 hits, possibly 3. Can't quite remember if he picked up that 3rd hit. Also played good D in right field as he watches that one go high and inside for a ball. So a full count to Estrada as he tries to be the first runner on base here for the Hoppers. He'll foul that one off, and it goes right over the Hoppers bullpen. So the count remains the same at 3-2. No outs on the board. And he hits that one right at the shortstop once again. That's 3 balls hit directly at Colby Morse, the shortstop. And he has done a good job to corral all 3 of them. And that's the first out of the inning. And here's 25 Carter Hood playing third base for Hoptown with his first at-bat of the day. And that's a strike called to Hood. 0-1 the count. And that's a high and inside pitch for a ball at 1 apiece. This is still Jacob Overbeck on the mound for Paducah. And that's one right down the middle for a strike. So a 1-2 count now, similar to what Estrada just saw before bringing it back to a full count. And Hood will pop that one up, and the first baseman will make the play on the infield. And Carter Hood goes down with the pop-up to the first baseman, and that'll bring up Chase Cummings, the designated hitter. 2 outs on the board and no runners on base for Cummings. And he hits that one right down the middle for a first pitch single from Chase. And I'll tell you what, Chase kind of started off slow this season as far as hitting's concerned. At one point, I believe just about 2 weeks ago, we were going through the batting averages, and he had a .0 or a .09, I believe, a batting average. And since then, he has been hitting the ball very well. Even when he's gotten out, he's been hitting it deep. And so he has progressed on the hitting front since getting here, getting to Hoptown this season. That's an outside ball to John Keebler. Keebler from Paducah. So a lot of these folks here tonight cheering for the Chiefs know John. And that's another outside pitch to him for a 2-0 count. He also played for Paducah Tillman, so this was his field in high school, if I'm correct. I believe Paducah Tillman uses this field. He'll hit that one deep to center field, but the center fielder is able to get under it and make the play, and that will end the inning. So a single there from Chase Cummings is all the Hoppers will get in the second, and we will move to the bottom of the second where the Chiefs will come up and try to extend their lead. The scoreboard now is Hoppers 0, Chiefs 4. We will be right back with Hoptown Hoppers baseball. And here we are, the bottom of the second inning, as Wilburn throws his final warm-up pitch. And this will be Austin Kreider, the catcher for the Chiefs, coming up to bat now. The Chiefs went through their first 8 batters in the first inning. And Kreider is the 9-hole hitter for Paducah. And that's a low pitch for a ball to Kreider right out of the gate. And that's right down the middle for a strike from Wilburn. 1-1 the count now. And on deck is Will Gibbs, who walked in the first inning and was also the first runner to score in this ball game. And that'll get hit directly to Sam Perkins at second base, who will make the play, and he does. And that'll take Kreider out. Very close one there, as the ball didn't have much pace on it from Perkins to Van Hooser. But the out is gained nonetheless. So that's the first out of here. That's the first out here in the second inning, or bottom of the second inning, excuse me. And we are back at the top of the lineup for the Chiefs. And Will Gibbs, second baseman, is back up to bat. And that's a good pitch from Wilburn to get things started here. 0-1 the count to Gibbs. And another one there from Wilburn. 0-2 now the count. There's 2 off-speed pitches there from Wilburn. Those have been working for him today. Some fastball action there. And a foul as Gibbs reaches his bat out. Doesn't do much of a swing. Just kind of trying to stay alive, and he does. Count remains 0-2. There's an outside pitch for a ball. 1-2 now the count. And another outside pitch. That one high with some speed on it to even things up at 2 apiece. 1 out on the board and no runners on base. And that pitch is swung on and missed for the 3rd strikeout of Wilburn's day. And a slow high pitch there gets Gibbs swinging for the strikeout. That's 2 outs on the board. And now Gunnar Bingham up to the plate. Bingham had the huge triple in the last inning that scored a run and put him on 3rd. He eventually scored himself after a big double from Freisman. Here facing 2 outs now instead of none. See what he's able to do in this situation. High and outside pitch there from Wilburn for a ball. 1-0 count to Bingham. Like I mentioned earlier, Bingham has the top batting average and on-base percentage in the lineup for Paducah, and already has a triple in today's contest. That's an inside pitch he has to get out of the way of. Now 2-0 the count. There's a strike thrown right down the middle. 2-1 now, the count to Bingham. And Bingham strikes that one to the second baseman Perkins, who will make the play at first. And that's 3 up, 3 down for the Chiefs after an electric first inning. They go down silently here in the second. And that'll send us straight to the top of the 3rd inning, where the Hoppers will be back up to have a chance of getting back in this one. And we will see them at the top of their lineup as Reed Douglas will start things off, followed by Sam Perkins and the 1, 2, 3 hitters. And we will be right back with third inning action here in Paducah with Hoptown Hoppers TV. And we are back here, top of the third inning. And Reed Douglas will start things off for Hoptown. He hit his ball directly to the shortstop in his first at-bat. And the first of 3 batters from Hoptown to do that so far in this game. And up here, had good contact on that ball, just went to the wrong spot. He'll see that one go by for a strike to get his third inning started. That's a low outside pitch that gets past the catcher. And that is hit directly to the center fielder, who's able to make the catch for the first out of the inning. And I'll tell you what, Hoppers have been getting good contact so far, just have not been able to put the ball in the right spot when they do so. The only people with hits in this game are Chase Cummings with a single, and then the man at the plate now, Sam Perkins, with a big single in the first inning. He eventually made his way to third base, but could not come home. He'll watch that one go by for an outside ball. 1-0 the count to Perkins. There's a ball straight down the middle for a strike. And that's high and inside. Perkins leaning to get out of the way for a ball. 2-1 the count now with 1 out on the board. No runners on base. And that's a straight down the middle pitch once again for a strike. So Perkins watching 2 there. Must have saw something he didn't like as the count is evened up at 2 apiece. And that is popped up, but it's going foul and towards the crowd, and the catch is not able to be made by the folks behind home plate, but the ball is gathered anyway, and the count will remain the same at 2-2 for Perkins as he stays alive there with a pitch that would have been a strike otherwise. And oh my gosh, how about that? Perkins actually sticks his bat out there on an outside pitch. It would have been a ball. Somehow gets enough contact to send it directly to the first baseman, who makes the catch for the out. So on a foul attempt there from Perkins, actually is caught by the first baseman. Pretty much a line drive directly to him with little to no speed for the second out. A high pitch there to Luis Vergara for a ball. Vergara walked in his first at bat. And an outside pitch there for a 2-0 count to Luis. And that pitch is hit high and foul over the Hoppers bullpen for a 2-1 count now with 2 outs on the board and no runners on base. And that's a outside pitch called a strike. And now the twos have gone wild with 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. No runners on base. A foul there from Luis on the outside pitch to keep the count the same. And that pitch is hit to the right fielder, who does have to run a little bit, but is able to make the play in right-ish, center field-ish, kind of in the middle there. And was hit well, but not well enough, as it'll be 3 up, 3 down for the Hoppers. And that'll move us to the bottom of the third inning here. The score remains Hoppers 0, Chiefs 4. We will be right back in the bottom of the third inning as the Paducah Chiefs try to extend their lead. And we are back in the bottom of the third inning as Caden Wilburn remains on the mound, and Colby Morse will walk up to the plate. Morse walked in his first at-bat and was eventually batted in. Well, I wouldn't even say eventually, was immediately batted in by the man who's following him up, Braden Freisman, or Frasman, I'm not exactly sure how to say his last name, who had a big double right after Morse. He'll foul that one off right behind him right away. 0-1 count to Morse. And he swings on that one, and it almost hits their third base coach, very close to striking him. But he does some agility maneuvers to get out of the way, and that'll make it an 0-2 count for Morse. As soon as that ball is gathered from deep foul territory. And an outside high pitch there for a ball. 1-2 the count now. And a swing and a miss from Morse on the outside pitch is Wilburn's fourth strikeout of the day, and the first out here in the bottom of the third inning. And that will bring up Freisman, who had a big double and double RBI too in the first inning. Scored the second and third runs of this game for Paducah. No runners on base here for him, but only one out on the board. And he'll immediately swing at that one and miss for a strike. I will say, Freisman, the first time the Hoppers played, I believe had 3 or 4 strikes. Didn't do much in that game. Both games since then has been very solid, and I'm counting today in that because he already had that big double RBI. A 1-1 count now after the ball. There's a low pitch for a ball, 2-1 the count now. And that pitch is right down the middle, a little low for a strike call. 2-2 now. The count with 1 out on the board and no runners on base. And that is hit to the left fielder Vergara deep, but he makes the play. And that's the second out here in the bottom of the third, as Freisman actually hits that one in the exact same place he hit his last one, just not as much height on it to get over Vergara. And Luis is able to make the play there in deep left field. And that'll bring up Creighton Morse, who I believe was thrown out at first in his first at-bat. He'll immediately pop that one up to center field. Oliverio will steady under it and make the catch. So 3 up, 3 down for the Chiefs and the Hoppers here in the third inning. And that will move us to the top of the fourth inning. But before we go there, I want to give a quick shout out to the Hoppers season sponsors. They make this team's world go round, and I got to shout them out here. So Jones Brothers, White's Auto Mall, Chick-fil-A, Huggard, Beard and Giles, Planters Bank, Oak Grove Racing and Gaming, the City of Hopkinsville, Penny Ryle Electric, HWEA, Charlie Henderson State Farm, WHVO, Bikes and More, All Clean Services, Higgins Insurance, and Super Lawn and Garden. Those are your Hoptown Hoppers season sponsors. We are so happy to have you. And we will move to the top of the fourth inning. I'll take a quick break, but probably not going to be gone too long. With Hoptown Hoppers TV, this is Ethan Alexander. And we are back here in the top of the fourth inning. Dom Oliverio, who made the final catch there in the bottom of the third to send us here, will be starting things off for Hoptown in the fourth. Oliverio reached first on an error in the first inning. That was that error where the first baseman actually lost the ball in his jersey. And that's a strike to get his day started, or I guess not day started, but fourth inning and second at-bat started. 0-1 count to Oliverio. I believe was facing an 0-2 count before he hit it to the first baseman in the first inning. And will be facing an 0-2 count once again here after that strike. And he'll swing on that one, foul it off the top of the catcher's head for the same count, 0-2. That's an outside high pitch for a ball. 1-2 now the count. And he'll swing on that one, pops it up the third base. No, the shortstop, and he is safe at first base. It looked like Kostronic, the third baseman, was going to make the play on that one, and if that were the case, he would have been out by a long shot as Kostronic well into the infield. But the ball actually got past him, made its way to the shortstop, Morse, and he was not able to get the throw there in time. So a single there from Oliverio to get the fourth inning started from the Hoppers, who need some offense here as they're trailing. And I believe that's their third hit of the day. All singles so far. This is Tate Van Hooser at the plate, who I think flew out in his first at-bat. or excuse me, actually, I believe he also hit his ball directly to the shortstop. He'll foul that one off 0-1 count. He also faced an 0-2 count after 2 fouls in that first inning. And he'll do it again here with 2 fouls and an 0-2 count for Tate Van Hooser. And another foul, and I'm telling you what, Tate is hitting these balls directly into the parking lot behind us. I don't know who designed this ballpark out here, but they put the parking lot incredibly close to the ballpark. And, well, a lot of these foul balls that go behind home plate go into the parking lot and can be very dangerous for some passing cars. As a check swing there looks to not be called a strike from Van Hooser. Or maybe it was. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe a little bit of confusion there as the check swing, but the ball goes off of the catcher and into the infield, and it looks like it'll be called a ball for a 1-2. And my software just disconnected for a moment and reconnected. So excuse me if it went out for a moment there. Did not think that was going to happen. Pretty good internet today, actually. Last time we were in Paducah, the internet was not great. 0-1 count to Estrada. He'll bunt there, and Oliverio will go to second base, but the play is made at first, so that's the second out as Estrada sacrifices himself to put a runner into scoring position for Carter Hood, the third baseman. So Oliverio advances to second, but now 2 outs on the board. Carter Hood approaches the plate. And he immediately hits that one. Looks like it's going to be a plopper into right field, and it does. And Oliverio is going to go home, and it was going to be tight, but the right fielder actually bobbles the ball, and Oliverio will score. And he does. So Carter Hood with the RBI. And the Hoppers get their first run on the board as Oliverio makes his way all the way from second to home on the infield hit to right field, or not infield, excuse me, shallow outfield hit by Carter Hood, and a single for him will score Oliverio. And now Chase Cummings at the plate already has a single in this game as well. So runner on first base and 2 outs on the board for Cummings. And he'll watch that one go straight down the middle for a strike, 0-1 the count. And a swing and a miss there. Actually, a little bit of contact for a foul, but into the catcher's glove. 0-2 the count for Cummings either way. And Cummings will foul that one off behind home plate to keep the count the same. And a swing and a miss from Chase there will sit the Hoppers down here in the fourth for the final out. And Overbeck's first strike. No, excuse me. Tate Van Hooser also struck out. So Tate Van Hooser was Overbeck's first strikeout in this game, and Cummings was the second. And the Hoppers do score a run in that inning. Oliverio is brought in by Carter Hood. So the score now is Hoppers 1, Chiefs 4. We will be right back in the bottom of the fourth as the Chiefs try to extend their lead. We will be right back with Hoptown Hoppers TV. We are back here, the bottom of the fourth inning, and the first batter up for the Chiefs will be number 24, Christian Beal. Beal struck out already in this game. Actually was the first strikeout for Caden Wilburn, who remains on the mound. He'll foul one to get his fourth inning started. 0-1 the count to Beal. And that is popped up towards center left field. Vergara will find his way to the ball and make the play for the first out here in the bottom of the fourth. That'll bring up Ben Brombaugh, who had the single in the first inning that scored the fourth and final run for the Chiefs in that big first inning. Here with his second at-bat of the day. Strike thrown to Brombaugh to get his second at-bat going. And there's a low pitch from Wilburn. 1-1 the count, one out on the board. And that is hit directly over Keebler's head at shortstop, and Vergara will handle it, and that'll just be a single, but a runner now on base for the Chiefs here in the fourth inning with the single from Ben Brombaugh, who has had a single in both of his at-bats so far. And now Sammy Kostronic is up to the plate. He struck out in his first at-bat. And the runner's going. Douglas is not going to be able to pick him off as he kind of double takes on the throw, maybe not having the ball all the way in his hand. And a stolen base there from Brombaugh right away. That was on the first pitch of the count. He stole right away. And I didn't quite catch if that was a ball or a strike, so I don't think the folks on the scoreboard did either. They don't have it up quite yet. And that pitch is low in the dirt for a ball. So at least one ball on the board. Waiting for this umpire to give the signal, and he does. 2-0 the count. And that's a high pitch. Brombaugh getting a massive leadoff at second base. Almost halfway to third. So a 3-0 count here to Kostronic. As Wilburn kind of having to focus on the runner at second and the batter. And that pitch is low in the dirt for a ball. So Kostronic will advance to first base. And now two runners are on after the walk. And that will bring up Austin Kreider, the catcher. Kreider, I believe, was thrown out at first base in his first at-bat. So runners here, second and first base. There is an out on the board, so the double play is an option, but not a great position for Hoptown after the walk there from Wilburn. And the runner will go, and Wilburn actually going to stop and trap him. And they're going to not get him. Not only are they not going to get him, they're going to throw it into the outfield. So just a messy error there from Hoptown as the throw was just not made in time. I don't know why that throw waited so long. Maybe Hood was waiting for Wilburn to get to third base. I'm not quite sure, but Hood just waited way too long to get that ball to second base. And so the Hoppers there should have gotten the out. Indeed, do not. And Brombaugh remains at second base, and there's only one out on the board. An excellent turn from Wilburn, but the Hoppers middle infielders and third baseman not able to get it done. And a high pitch there for a ball. That pitch is high and outside, as 6 straight balls now thrown from Wilburn, who maybe with the runner at second base is losing focus a little bit, as he's having to keep up with a runner who would like to steal third now, as well as throw strikes here, but you still got to stick to your guns and get the batter out first. There's a good pitch for a strike. That off speed has been working for him all day. Has been a very consistent pitch for Wilburn today. 2-1 the count. And that's inside and high for a ball. So now a 3-1 count, as Kreider threatening to load the bases here in the 4th inning. So Hoppers score a run, but the Chiefs getting their best chance since the first as well. And a swing and a miss from Kreider, actually tipped off the bat into the hands of Douglas for a full count now. And that pitch is way outside, and the walk for Kreider on the full count. And bases loaded now, with only one out on the board, will bring E.J. Davari, head coach, to the mound. Davari, not usually the coach you see coming, and he's actually going to take the ball from Wilburn, and that will bring in Cannon Anthony. So Wilburn's day is finished, and after those 2 walks, he had, let me count it up, 1, 2, 3 strikeouts, 4 walks, and 1, 2, 3, 4 hits allowed. So Wilburn's day is done here in the 4th inning, and Cannon Anthony's day is starting. Finds himself in a bit of a sticky situation with bases loaded and only one out on the board. Lucky for him, all bases, including home plate, are now forced outs. Cannon has gone a couple days now without pitching, so hopefully nice and refreshed coming into this game. The big right-hander for Hoptown. And I'll let him throw a couple of warm-up pitches while I grab a drink of water, and we'll be right back in a moment. And we return here, bottom of the 4th action. the Paducah Chiefs in an excellent position to put some runs on the board, and they're back at the top of their lineup as Will Gibbs, who struck out in his last at bat, is up to the plate. This is Cannon Anthony now on the mound for the Hoppers. One out on the board, loaded bases. Anthony throws one into the dirt there for a ball. At this point, you cannot walk any batters without giving up a run. Anthony needs to work in that strike zone, and he's facing a batter now who has walked and struck out today and has yet to get a hit, so that pitch is too high for him. 2-0 now the count. And the runners on third and second, both very fast base runners. Bromba on third has already stolen one base and got away trying to steal third earlier. And that pitch is very inside, so 3-0 count now as Anthony threatens to walk a batter and bring in another run for Paducah. And that pitch is an inside strike, just inside enough, or I guess not enough to be a strike and not a ball. 3-1 count now for Gibbs. And that pitch is fouled behind home and into the parking lot. And now a full count all of a sudden, as Anthony trying to get the strikeout here and put 2 outs on the board and avoid walking this batter. And that is hit foul towards third base as Gibbs able to stay alive and keep the count full at 3-2. 1 out on the board, and once again, bases loaded. A hit here would likely bring in 2 of the quick Paducah base runners. And that ball's hit to second base, and they'll get the out at first and allow the run to score. And so a run does score for Paducah for their 5th run of the day. But the Hoppers pick up an out to get an inch closer to getting out of this inning. Runners now 2 in scoring position, but bases are not loaded. And Gunnar Bingham is now up to the plate, and I'll tell you what, this is not the guy you want to see in this position. Had a huge triple in the first inning of this game. He'll watch that one go by for a ball and looked good from up here. Called a ball a low, I presume. 1-0 count. That pitch just inside for a ball, and another one that just barely misses. That pitch just outside barely misses for a ball. I'll tell you what, I can imagine none of those 3 being called a strike. Now at the 3-0 count, and honestly, walking Bingham here wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, as you have a significantly better chance of getting Colby Morse out than you do Bingham. And that pitch is a strike right down the middle for a 3-1 count. That pitch is an off speed down the middle for another full count. Now Cannon Anthony facing 2 full counts in his first 2 batters faced in the 4th inning here. The Chiefs have already erased the Hoppers' work in the top of this inning. And that ball in the dirt, and Bingham will walk. And they're going to try and go for the runner here or in between second and third. And no, what are they doing? Carter Hood throws the ball to Anthony at home and allows the runner to score at home. And not only that, but that runner that was going to go to second, or was going to stay at second, is now at third. So runners in the corners all of a sudden, as 2 chances to get a runner going, or a runner stuck between second and third base, has turned into 2 runs for the Hoppers. And I mean, come on. That is rough, rough, rough. Now that run likely would have scored anyway, just because if it comes in before the tag, it would have counted, but they would have at least gotten out of this inning. Now there's a runner on third base again, and the score is now 6-1. And Coach Albin now on the mound, I'm assuming, not talking with Anthony, but talking with the infielders. Cannon also there, not in the greatest position, standing in front, or considerably in front of home plate, should I say. And way too far out of the way to make the tag on the runner at home. Wouldn't have been able to make it anyway, but had no chance from where he was standing. And the Chiefs have kind of gotten into the heads of the Hoppers here in the 4th inning. And the runner will go to second. That's Bingham. And so now 2 runners in scoring position, and that was called a ball. So a 1-0 count, 2 runners now in scoring position. In the same exact position they were just in a moment ago, but this time with 1 more run on the board. And that ball is low for a ball. (2-0) now the count, 2 runners in scoring position, 2 outs on the board. That pitch high and outside, a 3-0 count. Anthony faced a 3-0 count in his first batter seen before getting it to a full count and eventually getting that batter out at first base. But 3-0 counts, not what you want to see here. Foul there, now 3-1 as the swing coming on a 3-0 count from Morse. And that pitch is swung on and missed. Would have been a strike either way. So another full count from Anthony, who just trying to make things tense here. Facing 3 full counts now. That pitch low in the dirt, so another full count resulting in a walk will load the bases for Paducah once again. And bring up Bryden Freisman, who had a double that scored 2 in the first inning of this game. Another player who you probably don't want to see in this position. 2 outs on the board and loaded bases. So a force everywhere. Anywhere would be the end of the inning, but Hoppers probably should already be out of this inning. That's a high pitch, missed for a ball. If we look way earlier in this inning while Wilburn was still pitching, the runner that tried to steal third and was caught should have been out. Then another runner stuck in between second and third should have been out. But instead, neither of those happened, and Freisman will swing there for a strike. 1-1 the count now. That pitch low in the dirt. Reed Douglas blocks it. He's done a good job so far in this game of not letting any pitches get wild past him. Has been quick on his feet. So a 2-1 count now with 2 outs and loaded bases. And that pitch is popped up foul into the stands, and the catch isn't made, but the first bounce catch is. And now a 2-2 count to Freisman with 2 outs, so the 2s are wild here with loaded bases. And another foul to keep the count the same. And that pitch is hit perfectly in the gap, and it'll be a big double at the least. Actually, this is going to be a triple, and that's going to score all 3 runners on base. And another huge triple from Paducah, this time from Freisman, who had a big double earlier in this game. And that scores all 3 runners that were on and leaves a runner at third for an absolutely massive triple from Freisman, even bigger than the one we saw earlier from Bingham. And the Paducah Chiefs have scored 5 runs in this inning. And that'll be it for Cannon Anthony, who walked a couple before giving up that big triple. And that will bring out Ethan Davis. So just like that, we have a 9-1 ball game. The Chiefs scored 4 in the first, 5 in the fourth. And we will let Ethan Davis throw some warm-up pitches while we take a break and be back to hopefully get out of this 4th inning. And we are back here, bottom of the 4th inning action. Runner on third base, and this is Creighton Morse at the plate attempting to bring in that runner. The Chiefs have already scored 5 runs here in the bottom of the 4th inning, and now Ethan Davis will be pitching for the Hoppers to try to get this inning over with. He'll start things off with a ball. 1-0 the count. And there's a ball. Looked good from here, maybe a tad bit low. 2-0 the count. And there's a high, no, they're going to say that hit Morse. So Morse will advance to first base after the hit by pitch. And so now runners in the corners. And still 2 outs. There's been 2 outs on the board for a minute now. And now Christian Beal will come up to the plate. Beal has gotten nothing done today, has struck out once and flown out once. He'll foul that one off to the bullpen for the 0-1 count. They're going to check up on first base. That was actually pretty close, but not quite enough, and we'll return to the at-bat. That pitch is just outside on the off speed for a 1-1 count. That's a high pitch for a ball. 2-1 count now. That's a nice pitch down the middle for a strike. And the twos once again wild with 2 outs on the board. Runners in the corners. Last time the twos went wild, the runner on third base, Freisman, had a huge triple to score 3. And that won't do it. So that's a low and outside pitch for a ball. Full count now, threatening to once again load the bases. And a foul there will keep the count the same. And a low pitch in the dirt will walk Beal and once again leave the bases loaded. So now loaded bases once again. This is the 3rd time in this inning the bases have been loaded. And both of those times they have scored runs, one of which all 3 base runners were brought home with a triple. And this has been Brombaugh, who already has 2 singles today. He'll watch that one go by for a strike. 0-1 the count. And that is another hit by pitch. That one directly in the back of Brombaugh. And with loaded bases, that will score the runner. So now 6 runs have scored in the 4th inning for the Chiefs. And 2 hit by pitches already for Ethan Davis in this one. Sammy Kostronic, who walked in his first at-bat, is up to the plate. And I believe he was one of the 3 runners that was scored on that triple. There's an outside pitch for a ball. Bases remain loaded. 2 outs on the board for the majority of this 4th inning. And a 1-0 count. And that is hit to the shortstop Keebler, who will not make the throw as it would have been too far to get that runner out. And that will score another run, the 7th of the inning for Paducah. And the bases remain loaded. So a single from Kostronic. And the Chiefs offense is just firing on all cylinders. And the Hoppers don't quite know what to do with themselves out there facing that electric offense from Paducah. And we are back up with Austin Kreider, who walked in his last at-bat in this inning. He'll immediately foul one off for an 0-1 count. And an outside pitch there for a ball to even things up at 1 apiece. That pitch hit down the middle to Keebler. Makes a throw at second. It's forced. And that will finally end the disastrous 4th inning for Hoptown. Going into that inning, or bottom of the 4th inning, should I say, it was a 1-4 lead for Paducah. Now leaving the bottom of the 4th inning, it is a 1-11 lead for Paducah over your Hoptown Hoppers. So we will return here in the top of the 5th inning to see if the Hoppers can answer with anything. And we'll be right back with more Hoptown Hoppers baseball on Hoptown Hoppers TV. And we are back here, top of the 5th inning action, and folks clapping it up for an attendee who's having his 90th birthday today. Happy birthday to, I believe they said, Mr. Vernon. Happy birthday to him. And John Keebler, the Paducah native, claps it up as well from the plate. And we'll watch a ball go by for his only his 2nd at-bat of the day. Going into the bottom of the 4th inning, the Hoppers had actually had more at-bats than the Chiefs, leaving it there on their 4th run through, and the Hoppers still on their 2nd. And a pitch there is a strike, 1-1 the count. And a foul there to make it 1-2. There's an outside pitch to even things up at 2 apiece. And fouled there from Keebler into the parking lot. This is still Jacob Overbeck on the mound in the 5th inning. And a single, what will likely be a single, as that pitch is hit directly down the middle from John Keebler. And it will be a single. So there's Mr. Keebler's first hit of the day. The Hoppers do have 5 hits in this game, but they are all singles. And Reed Douglas now at the plate. He is the leadoff hitter for the Hoptown Hoppers today, and with his 3rd at-bat of the day, he'll foul that one to get things started. And the 3rd run-through of the lineup for Hoptown. Hit his first one directly to the shortstop, and I can't quite remember how he got out in the 2nd at-bat. They'll check up on Keebler at first base, and no luck for Paducah. 0-1 count to Reed Douglas, and 1 runner on base at first base. That's John Keebler. No outs on the board. And a popped up ball will be played on by the second baseman and lets it go down a little bit, but does make the catch. And so that'll be the first out here in the 5th inning. That'll bring up Sam Perkins, who had the first hit of the day, a single in the 1st inning. I believe flew out in his last at-bat. He'll immediately foul that one behind him for an 0-1 count. Outside pitch there for a ball. And I'll say Mr. Overbeck, the pitcher for Paducah, looked a little iffy at the beginning of this game. They actually had a pitcher warming up in the 1st inning, but he remains on the mound in the 5th inning and has pitched decently since then. The Hoppers had loaded bases in the 1st inning of this game and didn't get any runs from that. And since then, Overbeck has been very solid. And now Perkins is facing a 1-2 count. He'll foul that one off to keep the count the same. And if I hear correctly through my windows here as some fans are looking over the fence, it sounded like a gray car was hit by that high foul ball from Perkins. So feel for whoever's car that was as Perkins pops that one up to the exact same spot as Reed Douglas. And the second baseman will make the play once again. So 2 outs now for the Hoppers as Luis Vergara approaches the plate. Two outs and a runner on first base for Luis, who has walked already in this game, and I want to say hit his first or flew out maybe in his 2nd at-bat, as that's a ball thrown to him outside. But has yet to have a hit today. Had a good day yesterday in Muhlenberg. And that's a high pitch for a ball. And the catcher will actually check up on Keebler at first, who had a big leadoff, but he makes it back in time. 2-0 now the count to Vergara. He'll let that one to the shortstop with the high bounce, and the forced out at second base will end things in the top of the 5th. And we will move to the bottom of the 5th as the Hoppers go down silently. And the Chiefs have a chance to extend their already 10-run lead. The current score is Hoppers 1, Chiefs 11. We will return in just a moment for the bottom of this inning. And we are back here, bottom of the 5th inning action from Paducah. And Ethan Davis's day is already done as he got the Hoppers out of the 4th inning. And now the mound is occupied by Jackson McTire, who will start his day off with a strike. McTire, the first part of the season, mainly was a closer for this team, but as we've moved on, as that ball's hit to the third baseman, Hood, but he's unable to make the grab. Bounces directly over his glove, and deep left field, Vergara has to bring it in. And so a single there from, I didn't even get to the name. It was Will Gibbs. Will Gibbs had a single to get things started off. And that'll bring up Gunnar Bingham, a very good hitter, with now a runner on first. But like I was saying, I was about to say a different name. McTire started the year off as a closer, has been pitching as a reliever recently. And that pitch misses somewhere, don't know where. 1-0 the count. And pitching more innings is McTire, who has, the other night, pitched 3 or 4. And a swing and a miss there from Bingham for a strike, 1-1 the count. And a foul there on the check swing. Actually goes off of the bat of Bingham for a 1-2 count now. That pitch just low for a ball to even things up at 2 apiece. Runner on first, and no outs on the board. That pitch in the dirt low for a ball, so a full count now as Reed Douglas does a good job to block that one and keep that runner on first base. But McTire here trying not to walk this batter and put one in scoring position with no outs on the board. and he won't walk him, but that ball's hit to left field. Vergara does an excellent job of coming up for it and making the grab, and that's the first out here in the bottom of the fifth. The runner will remain at first base, and that will bring up Colby Morse. Morse has already walked twice today, so a batter with some plate discipline here, trying to advance some runners. One out on the board and a runner at first. That ball in the dirt. Reed Douglas once again blocking it. He's done an excellent job today behind the plate. Hasn't had the chance other than once to throw a runner out and couldn't get it done there. But as far as defense is concerned and not letting that ball get to the backstop, he's been excellent. And he'll stop an outside one there as well for a 2-0 count now to Morse. That pitch swung on, hit to the third baseman Hood, who is going to get that ball past him again. And the runners will advance to second and third. That one a tad bit harder to grab than the other one that got past him, as he had to go across his body to make that grab and bounces off of his arm and gets into foul territory. So I would say a single there, or a double, excuse me, will be the call. Probably would not consider that an error, as that was definitely difficult to field. We'll leave two runners in scoring position now, and Bryden Freisman, who's been the player of the game today for the Chiefs, is now at the plate, has 5 RBIs already in this game, has scored at least once, maybe twice, and a double and a triple. And it pops that one up to the foul territory next to first base. Van Hooser will make the catch and actually throw that ball to home and throws it way over. Reed Douglas will track it down and bounces off of the backstop. So an out there, a little bit sketchy afterwards, but an out nonetheless, and runners remain where they are as the Hoppers get through Freisman, who has been their Achilles heel today. And now Creighton Morse will step up to the plate, and he's been on base once, but it was by a hit by pitch. Other than that, has gone out in his other 2 at-bats. Two outs now, but 2 runners in scoring position as Paducah looks to advance their lead. And there's a high pitch for a ball to get things started for Morse. So a 1-0 count to him. And a strike there on the outside pitch from McTire. 1-1 now the count. That pitch is right down the middle for a strike with some speed for a 1-2 count now. Outside pitch there for a ball, and the 2s are wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs with 2 runners on base, both of which in scoring position. That pitch is fouled off into parking lot territory. And based on reactions, I don't believe it hit a vehicle. 2-2, the count remains the same. That pitch is swung on and missed for the strikeout from Jackson McTire. And he is able to get this team out of the bottom of the 5th inning without giving up a run, even though 2 runners advanced to third and second. And that will send us to the 6th inning. But because we are in mercy rule territory, Hoppers have 2 more chances to get back within 10 runs in this game if they want it to go 9. Just in case that mercy rule is reached, I want to go ahead and go through the season sponsors again. those being Jones Brothers, White's Auto Mall, Chick-fil-A, Huggard Beard and Giles, Planters Bank, Oak Grove Racing and Gaming, the City of Hopkinsville, Penny Ryle Electric, HWEA, Charlie Henderson State Farm, WHVO, Bikes and More, All Clean Services, Higgins Insurance, and Super Lawn and Garden. Those are the Hopper season sponsors. Thank you so much for all that you do for the Hoptown Hoppers, and we will return in just a moment for top of the sixth inning action as the Hoppers try to get this game back within 10 runs and hopefully a little more than that. We'll be right back with Hoptown Hoppers TV. And a quick break there, and we'll start things off with Dom Oliverio here in the sixth, excuse me. Top of the sixth. Oliverio will immediately foul that one off into parking lot territory. 0-1 count to Dom. And that pitch is a strike. So all three of Oliverio's at-bats today have started off with an 0-2 count. He has reached on an error and has a single as well. Has done a pretty good job of getting himself out of these situations. There's an outside pitch for a ball with a 1-2 count. And that pitch is swung on. No, it's a check swing, excuse me. I actually thought the pitch itself looked like a strike. It was just a little bit high. So now a 2-2 count against Oliverio, trying to get himself back ahead. And that's an outside pitch, and he does. So a full count now to Dominic. Tate Van Hooser on deck. And that pitch is called a strike as Oliverio does not agree through his bat to the dugout and was going to advance to first, but instead will have to sit in the dugout on the strikeout call there. And that will bring up Tate Van Hooser with one out on the board. Oliverio did an excellent job of getting that up to a full count, but just barely missed out on the walk. And a ball thrown right away to Van Hooser, who has struck out once today and believe hit his first one directly to the shortstop early in this game. He'll swing there and miss for a strike. 1-1 now the count. And that pitch hit straight up towards third base, and the third baseman will get under it and make the catch for the second out of the inning. And that will bring up Robert Estrada, who has had nothing go his way today. He did have a sacrifice bunt earlier in this game, which actually did eventually score Oliverio. He brought him to second, and then Carter Hood scored him. There's an outside pitch for a ball. So 2 outs now on the board, 1-0 count, and no runners on base. That pitch is a strike on the bottom right corner. 1-1 count. That pitch is outside for a ball. 2-1 now the count with 2 outs on the board, no runners on base. That pitch straight down the middle for a strike. And the twos are wild here for the Hoppers. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs, and no runners on base. He'll swing at that one, goes directly towards the second baseman, who will make the play at first, and he does. And the Hoppers go down in order, 1, 2, 3. And that'll send us to the bottom of this inning quickly. We will be right back, but I do want to let you know that the Hoppers do only have one chance remaining in this game at the top of the next inning to get this game within 10, or within single digits, should I say, before the mercy rule is called. But before that, the Hoppers will have to keep the Chiefs from advancing their lead, and they'll do so in the bottom of this inning, and we will be right back when we're ready to do that with Hoptown Hoppers TV. And we return here, bottom of the 6th inning action from Paducah. And this is Christian Beal up to the plate. And he immediately hits one into shallow left field. And he will try to go to second, but he doesn't. And that ball just getting bobbled all over the place in shallow left field before making its way into the infield. That will bring up Ben Brombaugh, who has 2 singles in this game already. Has also been hit by a pitch with a runner at first after the first pitch swing from Beal. And Brombaugh will do the same, and it will result in the same, as that is another single there in shallow right field. So back-to-back shallow outfield singles from the Chiefs, and Ben Brombaugh already has 3 singles in this game. Great day for him. And now Sammy Kostronic will step up to the plate. Kostronic got a single in his last at-bat. Other than that, has struck out and walked. He's almost done everything today as far as at-bats are concerned. Runners at second and first with no outs on the board. Both of those runners getting a single on the first pitch they saw. Kostronic won't swing on this first pitch, and he'll watch it for a strike. So an 0-1 count to Kostronic. That pitch, check swing, they're going to say he did not go. Outside pitch for a ball, and 1-1 the count. That pitch is very pretty in the inside bottom corner for a strike. 1-2 the count. That pitch is just low for a ball to even things up at 2 apiece. Double play here is available as there are runners on second and first, and actually a triple play is too. Don't think we've seen a single triple play from the Hoppers this season. Now that I say that, I haven't seen one from anybody this season, as that's an inside pitch for a ball, and a full count now, 3-2 to Kostronic. This is still McTire on the mound for Hoptown, his second inning. And Kostronic will foul that one off behind him to keep the count the same. That pitch in the dirt, and Kostronic will walk it out. And that loads the bases here once again. Just 2 innings ago, the Chiefs scored 7 runs. In a similar situation, I actually think the first time they loaded the bases, they already had an out in the inning. This time, loaded bases with no outs in the inning. And now Austin Kreider, who has been one of the few batters in this lineup without a hit today, has walked once, is at the plate. He's actually tying his shoe up before resuming. But he is in an excellent position for Paducah as they have loaded bases with no outs. So almost anything here in the outfield will score a run. That's a low pitch for a ball. Of course, a walk would score a run. But there are forces at every single base for the Hoppers. That pitch is outside for a ball, 2-0 the count. That pitch straight down the middle for a strike. And a 2-1 count now to Kreider. That pitch is called a ball. So a 3-1 count now as Kreider threatens to walk and bring in a runner. He won't walk, but he'll hit one right down the middle. And not only will it bring in a runner, it will bring in 2 with the big double RBI single from Kreider. And still no outs on the board as the Chiefs tack on 2 more runs here in the bottom of the 6th. And this is Will Gibbs already back at the top of the lineup. He'll immediately swing, foul one towards the Hoppers bullpen for an 0-1 count. No runner on third now as 2 runs did score, but runners at second and first. That pitch hit towards the shortstop actually gets past him. They're going to send the runner, and no throw will be made. The Chiefs score another run. 3 runs scored now here already in the bottom of the 6th. No outs on the board, and runners remain at second and first. So as I go through this lineup for the Chiefs, only one batter has not had a hit today. That is Creighton Morse, the 5-hole and first baseman. Everyone else has had a hit. And Gibbs now had his second hit. And how many other batters have had 2? Bryden Freisman, of course, had the big double and triple that scored 5 runs. Ben Brombaugh has 3. And that's it for multi-hitters, but only one batter in this lineup has not gotten a hit today for the Paducah Chiefs, as they are already on their 5th run through, of their lineup. And they have just had an excellent offensive day all the way around. And so Cody Jones will come in for McTire here. in the bottom of the 6th, and we will let him get some warm-up pitches in before returning. Reminder, there are 2 runners on second and first base. No outs on the board in the bottom of the 6th, so we still pretty much have a full 6th inning to play, and we'll be right back. And we return here, bottom of the 6th inning action from Paducah, as the Chiefs currently lead the Hoppers 14-1. And they have no intentions of stopping that run anytime soon, as Gunnar Bingham already has a triple in this game and steps up to the plate now. No outs on the board and runners on second and first. Pitch there, a ball. This is Cody Jones on the mound now for the Hoppers. He is the 5th pitcher we've seen today from Hoptown, and you don't like to see that, throwing 5 arms in a game that you're losing 14-1 in, but it's kind of a necessity to keep it where it is. Throws a strike there, 1-1 the count. That pitch high and outside for a ball. 2-1 now the count to Bingham. That pitch, another high one for a ball. 3-1 now the count, as the Hoppers threaten to load the bases once again. That pitch high, and the bases are indeed loaded. Loaded bases, no outs, and 3 runs have already scored here in the bottom of the 6th. The Hoppers at this point just unable to get an out. And Morse will immediately pop that one up in foul territory. Van Hooser will get under it, and he'll make the catch. And so the Hoppers do pick up an out and leave the runners where they are. And a sigh of relief amongst the Hoppers dugout, as this inning was looking to be just as bad as the 5th. But the out there does open up the double play opportunity to get them out of it. Of course, you don't want to rely on that, as Bryden Fraisman steps up to the plate, and Fraisman already has a double and triple in this game. That pitch is low for a ball. Fraisman has 5 RBIs and multiple runs. He's looking for a cycle at this point, as he's already gotten one of the 2 hardest parts of it. That ball's outside. 2-0 count now to Fraisman. A walk here would, of course, score a runner. That pitch is low. So a 3-0 count now to Freisman, and if Cody Jones doesn't want to score a runner on the walk here, he'll have to do some serious work to get back in this count. And Freisman actually pops that one up to left field, and it's deep, but not deep enough. Deep enough to score one, though, as the runner will come in, and he does easily. The out is on the board with the sacrifice fly. No runner now on third base is at least one positive of that situation, but the score is now 15-1. And this is Creighton Morse, and we talked about him earlier in this game. Morse is the only batter for Paducah tonight without a hit. If he were to get a hit here, that would mean every single Paducah batter has gotten a hit today. A ball immediately to him, 1-0 the count. Now 2 outs on the board and runners at second and first. And another inside pitch there for a ball, 2-0 the count. That pitch is towards the outside of the strike zone, called a strike, 2-1 now. That pitch is fouled off behind home plate. So 2, 2, and 2. The twos are wild for Morse with runners at second and first base here in the bottom of the 6th inning. That pitch low in the dirt. Reed Douglas actually, it bounces up. Reed grabs it with his bare hand. And like I said earlier, if you want to take a positive from this game, Reed Douglas has been fantastic behind the plate. So not a ton of positives tonight, but if you want one, there it is. Reed Douglas has been the defensive player of the game. Oh, and that is a hit by pitch and a tough one on the shoulder of Morse. And so Morse won't get a hit, but he will be hit. And that will put him at first and load the bases for Paducah once again. And Christian Beal is now at the plate. Beal had a single in his last at-bat. Before that, hadn't gotten much done. But here he is with a position to, if he were to get his second hit, score a runner. And he will do just that as it's hit. Actually, no, Perkins does an excellent job of tracking that ball down, and he'll get the out at first base. A great run down there from Sam Perkins, the second baseman, to end the 6th inning. And the score is 15-1. I was about to say leave the score at 15-1, but that makes it sound like 15-1 is a good thing. The score is 15-1, and we move to the top of the 7th inning, where the Hoppers will have to score at least 5 runs to continue this ball game. We will see if they have what it takes to do so in just a moment when we return with Hoptown Hoppers TV in the top of the 7th inning. And we are back, top of the seventh inning action from Paducah, Kentucky. The Hoptown Hoppers must score at least 5 runs here to keep this game alive and not get mercy ruled after only 6.5 innings played. Carter Hood will be the first one up to the plate in an attempt to do so. And the first pitch to him is a ball inside. They did bring out a new pitcher, the Paducah Chiefs, and I'm quickly going to the roster to try and tell you who that is. I heard the PA announcer say his name, but I couldn't quite get it clearly. And Hood will pop that one up about as high as you can possibly hit a ball, and the catch will not be made by the pitcher because of that. The third baseman tries to dive and make the catch, unable to do so. No surprise there, as that ball was, you couldn't even see it. It was hit so high. And Carter Hood finds a unique way to get on base with the error. And honestly, if you want to count, if when a ball is hit in the infield so hard that it's hit by a infielder but not gathered and thrown to first, it's counted as a hit. I think if you hit one that high and it's not caught, it should probably be a hit, because I knew that ball wasn't going to get caught as soon as it was hit. This is Chase Cummings at the plate now, and he has a strike thrown at him right away. And now I can tell you who this pitcher is. It's Bishop Woods. Bishop Woods, the big right-handed pitcher. Throws a ball there, 1-1 the count with a runner on first. That pitch nearly hits Cummings on the inside for a ball, 2-1 now. There's another outside pitch for a ball, 3-1. And that pitch way outside. So Cummings will walk, and Carter Hood will go to second base, and no outs on the board. This is honestly one of the better opportunities the Hoppers have had all night. Just not great that it's coming in this position where the Hoppers aren't necessarily playing to win at this point, more so playing to stay alive, because a 15-1 deficit at this point in the game is going to be very difficult to come back from, but maybe a 5-run inning is not quite as astronomical. This is John Keebler at the plate now, who had a single in his last at-bat. That's an inside pitch as Woods struggling to find the strike zone. There's a low pitch for a ball. And, if you're looking at this from Paducah's perspective, this team probably wants an early night. They want to get home early. And they won't leave this pitcher out too long if he keeps walking guys and throwing balls. And that's exactly why they have a pitcher, actually maybe two, warming up in the bullpen right now. As that is low for a ball. Actually looked good from here. But it was definitely on the lower side. So a 3-0 count now for John Keebler, as he threatens to load the bases for Hoptown. That pitch straight down the middle. Keebler leaves the bat on his shoulder, as most do in a 3-0 count. And Woods just goes ahead and lays up the straight down the middle strike for a 3-1 count. No outs on the board yet, and 2 runners on base at second and first. Those are Carter Hood and Chase Cummings. That pitch is low in the dirt. Keebler will walk, and the bases are loaded, and just as I predicted, a quick mound visit from the coach of the Chiefs, as He may be saying something similar to what I just said about going home early to Woods. They don't want to give up this mercy rule they have right now. Every team likes to get the mercy rule win and go home early and pick up the win. And he may be, getting his guys excited for that on the mound. But currently the bases are loaded and no outs on the board. We've seen that one other time tonight, and it was in the last inning for the Chiefs, who, funny enough, only scored 4 runs in that inning. It was not as big of an inning as that bottom of the 5th where they scored 7. But a lot of that was because they were hitting deep shots in the 5th, whereas last inning they were getting the bases loaded, not bringing in as many people. But that inning, seemed to go on forever. Here in the top of the 7th, we now see the Hoppers do their imitation of the Chiefs with bases loaded and no outs. And they are now at the top of their lineup with Reed Douglas, who has not gotten anything done today on offense, at the plate. And a strike thrown right out of the gate from Woods, so possibly something said in that meaning to get him motivated. And that was on the high side, but near the top of the strike zone. That pitch is outside, called a strike by the umpire, who, like the Chiefs, may also want to get home early. As I would probably say that was a ball and not a strike, but the umpire giving the call to the Chiefs. And that pitch is fouled into the parking lot. And based on the crowd reaction, I don't believe it hit a vehicle. Always funny, I get to look out my window here to the right and tell you if a vehicle is hit based on the oohs and ouches and faces from the crowd when a vehicle is hit by a foul ball. That pitch is, and I'll tell you what, significantly closer to being a strike than that last one that was called a strike, and it's called a ball. 1-2 the count to Douglas. That pitch is low and outside to even things up at 2 apiece. The pitch hit well towards the third baseman, who actually does an excellent job of corralling it. How about that? And that's Sammy Kastronic. You kind of have to clap it up for him as he dives and grabs that one. The run does score, by the way. Carter Hood comes in. Sammy Kastronic grabs that ball at third base, laying on his stomach, and lunges in to tag Chase Cummings out at third. And you have to give it to him there. I mean, that's an incredibly good defensive play from Kastronic. And Perkins hits himself pretty hard there with a foul ball, and you could tell immediately as he flung himself around that one did not feel good. Hope he's all right. Had a ton of spin after that ball hit him in the leg off of his bat. And he'll try to walk it out, maybe massage the knee area a little bit. You have John Keebler at second base and now Reed Douglas at first base. Chase Cummings was just tagged out at third. And an 0-1 count for Perkins, who is now a little bit hobbled after that scary incident. Not quite as bad as it looked at the beginning. 0-1 count to him with an out on the board and 2 runners on. And he'll hit that one very well to left field, but the left fielder does come up with it. And that's the second out here in the top of the 7th. So props to Perkins there for being able to hit a ball so well after he hurt himself just the pitch before. But 2 outs on the board now. Runners at second and first base, the Hoppers with only 1 out left. And Luis Vergara, a very good hitter, is at the plate. And now we have a green balloon floating over the game. And I'll try to flip it over. Yeah, you can see it there, top left corner. Green balloon coming in. And this one a lot lower actually may end up landing on the field as a strike is thrown there to Vergara for an 0-1 count. And now the balloon seems to be floating away, so maybe avoiding a on-the-field obstacle. And Luis will pop that one up to shallow-ish right field, but the right fielder will run up and make the catch and end the game. And just like that, the Hoppers' opportunity is squandered, and that'll be your final score. The Hoppers lose this one 2 to a staggering 15 to the Paducah Chiefs. The Hoppers will be in action again tomorrow at home. And let me pull my schedule out real quick. They'll be playing Bowling Green tomorrow at home at 6:30 as per usual. And this Hoptown Hoppers TV broadcast will be running that game as well as the radio broadcast. So make sure to tune in there. But this has been Ethan Alexander. And the final score of this one in Paducah, Hoppers 2, Chiefs 15. This has been Ethan Alexander and Hoptown Hoppers TV. We will see you tomorrow. Go Hoppers.